You ever notice how retirement isn't just one big, long vacation? Yeah, my clients haven't noticed that either because the truth is, retirement comes in stages, and each stage feels completely different. Some of my clients are in their early 60s, hiking national parks, flying to Europe, doing things that they've put off for decades. And others, they're in their 80s telling me their big plan for the week is having the grandkids over for lunch on Sunday. That's not an exaggeration. Retirement has chapters, and understanding them can completely change how you plan your time. Hi, I'm Jordan Lehman, founder and financial planner at True Wealth Retirement Partners. And every day I help my clients create steady retirement income, invest smart, pay less in taxes. And I want to share that with you. So let's walk through what I call the three retirement acts. All right, this is the fun part. First is the go go years. You're in your 60s, maybe early 70s. You're healthy, you've got energy, and most importantly, you finally have time freedom. This is when my clients are doing all the bucket list stuff, right? Cruises, golf trips, RV life, learning how to salsa dance in Costa Rica. That's a true story, by the way. Uh, the vibe here is I've worked hard. Now I get to step back and enjoy the things that I've put off. But here's the key takeaway: don't wait. These years are a window. And by the way, not a guarantee. And you don't want to spend your healthiest retirement years stuck in what I call scarcity mode. There's something most people don't realize. If you don't intentionally plan to enjoy this stage, and I see this in some of my clients, it's shockingly easy to let it slip by. I've had clients who spent the first 5 years or so of retirement trying to figure out what to do, only to find themselves suddenly facing unexpectedly, it's always unexpected, mobility issues or caregiving responsibilities that made the big dream seem harder to chase. So I would encourage you, make a list, revisit the bucket list that you wrote down maybe a decade ago. Ask yourself, what would be a shame to miss? So those are the go-go years. Next up, the slow go years, usually mid 70s to early 80s. And this is where I start to notice a bit of a shift in my clients physically, mentally. Travel starts to slow down, plans become more local. Instead of the whirlwind Europe trip, it's a weekend at the lake. Still fun, just more low key, right? Doctors start becoming a part of the schedule. Energy isn't quite what it used to be, and priorities shift. Time with grandkids often takes center stage. Hobbies become more personal, right? Gardening, reading, community events. What's powerful about this stage is the sense of depth. At least that's what I've noticed in observing these families. People start thinking more about their legacy, about who they're spending time with, and how they want to be remembered. I've seen clients find deep joy in teaching grandkids to fish or volunteering at the library or mentoring younger folks in their old field. And the pace might be slower, but the meaning can be even richer. And it's also a perfect time to kind of step back and reassess, at least from a planning perspective, some of your spending. What's bringing joy now that could be very different from what it did maybe say 5 or 10 years ago, and your financial plan should reflect that. And then finally, this one's less exciting, the no go years. They usually start in your early 80s, and it's when health and energy really do begin to decline. There's often a little bit less independence, more medical care, more routine, things like long term care, estate planning, making sure your spouse is supported. They become more urgent. I've had a client say, I feel like life's gotten smaller. And that can be a hard reality, but here's where planning ahead truly pays off because the no go years aren't just about you. They're about making sure others, and I've seen this, aren't overwhelmed to care for you without guidance. I've worked with families where a little bit of preparation saved months of emotional stress down the line. And a well thought out plan during your slow go years, the stage just prior, wills, powers of attorney, long term care options, can turn a potentially chaotic phase into one of, get this, grace and dignity. The reward here is simple but profound peace of mind for you and your family. Now, caveat here towards the end. Before we go any further, let me just say this. These ages, well, they're generalizations, right? I've got a 70, early 70s client who could absolutely run laps around the average 60 something. The pace that this guy goes at, I don't know if I'd quite keep up. But I also have a early 60s client who unfortunately is already sort of entering into that no-go stage due to some unexpected health issues. Get this, father time wins eventually, but your health determines in large part when each act or stage begins and how long it lasts. So, what can you do? Not my advice. Actually, I have a lot of my clients tell me, I'm obviously younger, they tell me prioritize your health. Seriously. And they say, not just for your body, but for your mind and social life too, and for them. Staying active, staying connected, staying curious, because that can delay the slow go phase and extend the go go one. And if you take just one thing away from this video, let it be this: don't waste those go go years. Don't overplan. Don't over worry. Don't think you have forever to do things you've dreamed about, because I've seen it. You don't. And that's not meant to scare you, by the way. It's meant to free you. And also, if you're not sure which stage you're in, or you're thinking about how to plan for the next one, I'd encourage you, check out the link below. You can schedule a call with me. We can talk about our free retirement assessment process. Would love to be a resource for you and make sure you're prepared well for what's next. So thanks so much, and we'll see you in the next one.